A teacher named Emma was teaching at a school in South Africa. It was Emma's last day of teaching in the school before holidays came. Emma intended to go on holiday alone, visiting her father's house outside the city. Emma was feeling upset after having a big argument with her boyfriend last night. When she was about to go out, the locker guard told her that her cousin had left a camper so she could take it to her father's house. Soon after that, Emma was in her car heading to her father's house, spending her holiday time. She also called her father to tell him that she was on her way to his house. Emma told her father about the fight she had with her boyfriend. Hearing this, Emma's father asked whether he needed to beat up Emma's boyfriend. Turns out, Emma's father was a former lieutenant in Special Forces, and he had never failed carrying out a mission. Emma then tried to calm her father, saying that he didn't need to worry about Emma's love problems. On the other hand, a group of mafia members were smuggling illegal goods into the car. The group was led by a man called Bosman. He and his men intended to take the illegal goods to the South African border, so they immediately left with their cars. On the way, Bosman's nephew, Pete, looked scared because this was his first day joining a mission with Bosman. Bosman knew that his nephew was panicking. Then he said that everything would be fine because they wouldn't be fighting. Meanwhile, Emma suddenly got a message from her boyfriend, and he said that he still loved Emma. Emma also still loved her boyfriend, so she got out of the car just to reply to the message. They were fighting because Emma accidentally saw her boyfriend beat someone. Emma really didn't like violence, so she was very angry and disappointed with her boyfriend. However, her boyfriend said that he was only defending himself and was forced to beat that person. On the other hand, Pete's car was suddenly stopped by an officer. Pete couldn't hide his fear, and he was very nervous when the policeman asked him to take out his driver's license. This made the policeman suspicious and wanted to check in the car. Bosman's men in another car tried to divert the policeman, pretending to ask for directions. However, the officer still insisted on checking into the car driven by Pete. In the end, they pointed a gun at each other. The policeman was afraid, and he finally gave up, asking them to let him go. He promised not to say anything about this incident, but Bosman instead ordered his men to hit the police. They took the police to a quiet place. Coincidentally, Emma passed by that place, and when she was near there, her car suddenly broke down because the radiator ran out of water. Emma tried to contact her father, but there was no signal there, so the call couldn't be connected. While Bosman and his men intended to finish off the policeman. Soon after, Bosman told Piet to execute him, but he didn't know how to shoot, so Bosman told him to shoot the rock first. Emma heard that sound and thought it was a gunshot from people who were hunting. She immediately took a bottle, wanting to ask them for water to fill the empty radiator of her car. One of Bosman's men didn't agree that they should kill the police, but Bosman just ignored him, still going to finish off the policemen. Bosman then told Piet to immediately execute the officer. At the same time, Emma got there and saw when they finished off the policemen. This made Emma really shocked, and she accidentally dropped the bottle she was carrying. The sound of the broken bottle made the mafia group aware of Emma's presence, and then they chased her. Unfortunately, Emma was caught and then taken to Bosman. Worse, they planned to rape Emma first before killed her. However, they didn't realize that the policeman was still alive and secretly tried to get into the car. Their attention was diverted by the policeman who had managed to escape. All of Bosman's men tried to chase him, but it seemed like they couldn't do that. However, Bosman was casually shooting the policeman from a distance, and finally the policeman died. On the other hand, Emma was trying to remove the handcuffs on her hands. Luckily, Emma managed to remove the handcuffs and immediately went to her car, taking the camping equipment belonging to her cousin. One of Bosman's men just realized that Emma had been running away. Not long after, Bosman and the others arrived, and he was very angry to find out that Emma had run away because she was the only witness who knew about their crime, so they immediately tried to look for Emma. While Emma was hiding behind a big rock, feeling shocked by what had happened to her, she then took a binocular, knife, and cleaning powder. On the other hand, Emma's father started to worry because his daughter should have arrived home. He tried several times to contact Emma, but there were no answers. One of Bosman's men found Emma's ID inside her broken car. He immediately told the others using the handy-talkie. Piet told Bosman that he could track Emma through her footprints, because Piet was a former forest guard. Everyone gathered, and they started looking for Emma by looking at the footprints. One of them erased the tracks so that no one else would follow them. Shortly, Bosman and his group had arrived at the rocks where Emma had been hiding before. Fortunately, at that time, Emma was no longer there. Turned out, Emma was monitoring their movements through the binoculars that she had brought. Emma began to realize that Bossman and his men had tracked her through her footprints. At that very moment, Emma tried to trick them by making fake footprints. This could have made Piet confused, and finally the group decided to split up to look for Emma in different areas. On the other hand, there was a driver who accidentally saw Emma's car on the side of the road, and he was Emma's father's friend. He shouted Emma's name several times, but there was no answer. The man went to a place where he could get a signal, then he contacted Emma's father. Hearing the news, Emma's father decided to go there, and now Emma managed to find water, but she was sure if the water was contaminated, so she tried to sterilize it first in a bottle. Not long after, Bossman's men, AJ and Bola, saw Emma from a distance. At that time, AJ wanted to tell the others, but perverted Bola forbade him. Bola planned to harass Emma before telling the others. Bola asked AJ to wait, while he was going down to catch Emma. On the other hand, Emma's father had already come to Emma's car. While checking the area around there, Emma's father realized that someone had erased footprints. Emma's father and his friend tried to look for clues in other places, and in the end, Emma's father concluded that there were 4 or 5 people who were hunting Emma. Emma's father's friend immediately suggested that they immediately ask for help from the police, but Emma's father said it was useless to report to the police. Emma's father didn't seem worried at all about his daughter because he trained Emma since she was a kid. Emma is very skilled and knows how to survive, but she has a weakness in terms of shooting. Meanwhile, Bola pointed a gun at Emma. She begged Bola to let her go because she really didn't like violence. Hearing this, Bola just laughed because he still thought that Emma was a weak woman. Finally, Emma was forced to finish off Bola with the knife she was carrying. While AG had been waiting for a long time, he tried to call Bola, but there was no answer. Finally, he reported this to the others that Emma had been found. Apparently, Emma also heard this from Bola's handy-talkie. She immediately took Bola's radio and gun, then rushed away. AG saw Emma running away, then he immediately chased her, but he found Bola, who had died, killed by Emma. AG called the others to come quickly. Not long after, Emma contacted them using Bola's radio. Here, Emma challenged them to immediately catch her, and if they couldn't do that within 2 hours, she would call the police to report them using the radio in her hands. Bossman and the others came, finding Bola lying dead. They were thirsty, so without thinking any longer, they drank the water, except for Bossman. After that, they rushed back to chase Emma. Age had arrived at the rocky area first and was trying to find Emma. But suddenly Emma threw a stone at AJ from above, causing him to die right away. Emma continued to monitor them through binoculars, and on one occasion Bossman found her and shot her. Luckily, Emma was able to dodge the shot. Pete, who had previously drunk contaminated water, started to weaken, but he saw Emma entering an empty house. At that time, Bossman shot Emma again from a distance, but again, his shot missed. Bossman then ordered his 3 men to surround the empty houses, while he was going to shoot from a distance, and Emma finally entered one of the empty houses. On the other hand, Emma's father has returned home because he believed that Emma was able to solve the problem on her own. Meanwhile, the 3 mafias had approached the empty house and decided to split up into each empty house, and on one occasion Emma managed to kill one of the men. Bossman saw Pete, who was just sitting down, so he told him to immediately look for Emma. However, when Pete entered the empty house, Emma could attack him. Pete begged Emma to let him go and promised that he wouldn't chase Emma anymore. Emma felt sorry for him and finally let go of him, but when Pete came out, he shouted and said that Emma was inside. Because of that, Emma immediately finished him off with a knife. After that, Emma entered another empty house and there was one of Bossman's men. He realized that Emma had come in, then immediately turned down the volume on his radio, prepared to catch her. This made Bossman wonder because none of his men answered him, so he decided to go down. While one of his men finally met Emma and a fistfight broke out between them. Emma was very skilled at close combat, and was finally able to finish off Bossman's men. Now Bossman had to face Emma alone. When Emma came out, Bossman was already there, pointing his sniper weapon. Here, Bossman underestimated Emma, and he challenged her to a cowboy-style shootout. Emma was worried because she was very weak at shooting, but with a strong determination, she accepted the challenge despite this was her first time shooting. Luckily, Emma shot right on target. She managed to shoot Bossman very quickly, making him die. Long story short, even though Emma was shot in her shoulder, she was strong enough to walk home to her father's house. When Emma hugged her father, she said that today she had just practiced shooting and it was very exciting. 3 days later, Emma was in the hospital. She contacted her boyfriend again to apologize. Emma, who previously really didn't like violence, now realizes that sometimes she has to use violence in an urgent situation.